it. And although, I voiced at the meeting that we're pretty satisfied with how efficiently our chief runs our police department, and that most people in the town of Kent probably are very happy with the police department, that we certainly would be interested in, what the results of a consolidation study would be. And that it's, at this point, it would certainly put the issue to bed in a lot of respects. And it would really give us a big picture because, we had a lot of people sitting around that table, and I don't think anybody could accurately describe what this would look like. It's just a little out there. Even in terms of if it would be run by somebody appointed, somebody elected. So there were a myriad of questions. There were so many issues that, remained kind of up in the air.
I've gotten a couple of people called and asked about what was going on, and I told them that it was really just very speculative right now. And one of the things that has always come up is that our taxpayers pay for the sheriff's department, just like everybody else. Now, Patterson and Putnam Valley probably pay more because they actually use the patrol. But the bottom line is we pay for the sheriff's department as well. And we never, ever see sheriff's deputies in our areas, in our developments. I haven't seen one in Lake Ninum in years. So most of the residents feel that they're very tied with the Kent Police Department, and they want that protection. They want those cars seen in the developments. They want to see it in Western Kent, and I'm sure in Lake Carmel as well. And one of the main concerns was if the county absorbed our police department, would we then be left without anything? Because there would be other areas that they might feel that needed patrolling, and the crime might be higher in other areas other than in Western Kent. And I think that is a concern of the residents. And I said it's too early. We don't even have a plan on the table yet. And I think we need to wait and see what they come up with before we shoot them down.
Right, and the county, the county executive was really more interested in how many towns would be on board with even doing a consolidation study. I mean, one of the things that, I pointed out at this meeting is we can do all the studies in the world, but it's still, going to be up to the town board to take a vote, and then it's going to be subject to a permissive referendum, and I can guarantee that the people in the town of Kent are going to want to vote on it, and I think it's their right to vote on it. So, I think this study is the first step, and I think it's, it's a good idea to have someone who is unaffiliated with, any of the departments and the county kind of come in and give us an objective view of how and if something like this would work, what the costs would be, what the ramifications would be, and what the effect. That was one thing that was discussed too, is patrols. And, obviously in the town of Kent, people are, it's satisfying to know that you have police patrols that regularly go through your area. All of this is so first step.
We have a lot of money invested in our police department.
Oh, absolutely. Even in our infrastructure.
Yeah, we have a beautiful police department. We have, a fleet of cars. We have we have a lot of money invested in our police department and our police officers, and people are pretty much happy with that.
Right, and I think a consolidation study would have to look into that.
Absolutely.
It would, it just couldn't be like, oh, it's a good idea to put them all together.
We wouldn't want to lose from this proposition. We'd want to see what there was to gain from this proposition. And it should be interesting to see what the county comes up with on this.
I voiced my concerns about it before. My only problem with it is I'm kind of a little shocked and disappointed that the people who originated this plan, sent the letters out, got in the newspaper, show up to a meeting of the other municipalities and take everybody's time and then don't even know what they exactly want to propose or do. I mean, you know, you don't do something without a plan. You don't come to a table without a plan. That's not how things work, whether it's in business or politics or government. And it's just disappointing that we're talking about it for a second board meeting in a row, and we don't even know what we're talking about because the individuals who, or the municipality that has the most to lose or gain by this hasn't even given us anything concrete to consider. So I would hope that next time we discuss this, the proponents of the plan would give us something to actually discuss.
Well, to tell you the truth, Paul, I don't think we're going to have that unless a
then,
study
I mean, it's,
is...
to an extent, it's a waste of everybody's time and money then. If nobody's ever going to give us, listen, we're not proposing it, so the individuals in the town that's proposing it needs to lay out a plan. And nobody's going to jump on board to, or jump off board. That's not a thing, but nobody's going to do that without a plan. It doesn't make any sense. It's like one of us coming up here and just saying, "Oh, I like this idea. Let's think about it." You know, every time we come up here, there's a resolution. We do certain things. You know, there's a certain amount of respect of people's time that when you come to a meeting about something like this, that there's a plan in place, and it doesn't seem like there was one, and that's unfortunate.
Bill?
It's cool.
Move on. Let's move on. Putting items on the agenda.
Health insurance for elected officials. This is something that I have brought up in the past, and now that I brought it up in the fall of 2014, and it was less pressing, but certainly with an election coming up, it becomes more pressing. Right now, the policy of the town of Kent is that all elected officials are entitled to health insurance, and it is at no cost. I think this is really a problematic policy, and I think it's especially problematic. We're not, we don't have any issues right now because of our part-time board members. No part-time board member takes the health insurance. Our part-time receiver of taxes does not take the health insurance, and one of our part-time town justices does not take the health insurance. But if we had a turnover, and a family policy costs approximately $20,000. So if we have, and I'm not wishing this, but I'm just saying, if in this election we have 2 new town council people, and if in 2 years we get 2 new judges and a new receiver of taxes, we're talking about a possibility of $20,000 per elected official, which, as everybody on this board knows, after going through that budget process and cutting every dollar we could from, every department. I mean, I said to department heads, give me your budget, and then I said to them, cut 5% before we met. So, and people really worked hard to keep their costs down. I think that to add these costs to, a town of this size is ridiculous. And, as I think I pointed out at another meeting, we don't pay our part-time regular employees who work 20 hours a week, every week, who come in, put in their time, do their job. And we don't offer health insurance, much less pay 100% for it. So I am proposing that we amend the town code. There's actually the only section in the town code that talks about health insurance that talks about the buyout. If someone opts not to get the insurance, they get a buyout, which the buyout was even incorrectly stated in the town code. So I'm proposing to amend the town code to say full-time town employees and full-time elected officials rather than just elected officials, and specifically the town supervisor, the highway superintendent, and the town clerk are eligible for health insurance coverage paid for in part by the town. I don't think anybody, if our regular employees have to pay for their insurance, for part of their insurance, I think elected officials should also have to pay for their insurance. I don't think that that's a perk that we, elected officials, should be given. And then I'm proposing changing the handbook, and I've attached my proposals to, again, reflect only full-time elected officials, specifying which those are, and to then reflect that those individuals, those full-time individuals, will also pay 20% of their premium like any other full-time employee of the town of Kent. I really believe, when I took this office, I could have had 100% paid health insurance, and instead I continue to get my health insurance through my husband's plan, and we pay every paycheck, we pay for that health insurance. And I did that because I don't think the public service is to benefit yourself. I don't think you take this office, I don't think you take any of these offices for the perks, and if you do, then you shouldn't have taken the office. I think public service is just that, it's public service. And if, it's been mentioned that we would discourage people from running for office if they didn't have these perks. Well, I personally don't want those people in office. If that's why you're running for the job, so that you can get health insurance, then this really isn't the job for you. So this is my proposal. We would have to do the part for the, from the town code as a local law. We could do the handbook as a resolution, but we should have the handbook conform with the law. So I think, obviously we should go forward with the law first. It would become effective January 1st of 2016. So it wouldn't affect anyone who's in their term now, but anybody taking office on January 1st, 2016 would be subject to this change in the health insurance.
Question. Somebody who is holding office full-time now, who is not paying into their health insurance, would they then be made after their term and they should run again?
Yes.
Then they would be made too?
Yes.
But not as of 2016?
Right. Right. Only for terms starting in 2016.
And that would include full-time elected officials?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody, I think, should pay their fair share.
I support the idea. The only thing I would say would be to, if we're thinking about costs, and you mentioned, $20,000 a year minus your 20%, it's a lot of money. For some reason, the town pays for health care for employees once they retire. That is an anomaly. It really is. It is not anything that happens in the real world, at least in the private sector. And with the situation with Medicare and everything out there, it seems like it's less of a necessity. So I just would ask that if we are considering doing an overhaul into how health care is offered, that we also consider not for anybody that's currently, abiding under the current situation, who's came to the employee, knew this was part of the deal, part of the compensation, that I'm not saying to take away, but for future employees starting on January 1st, I think it would be a good idea to not pay for their health care, indefinitely, forever, because that cost, is maybe 20 times what it is, for this elected official, which is a great idea. But so I would hope that we would at least consider that, not for any employee who's put in any time at this point, but starting when the effective date of the resolution.
Maybe something we should look into is family medical benefits versus the person who's employed. We offer two packages, either a single or a family. And maybe the family is one that we should look at first or take that into a greater consideration of doing away with than the single person.
For elected officials or for everyone?
Possibly, well, you know, I really would like to look into this a little bit further, because I know that we had people that had worked here, and they haven't worked here for many, many years, and they're still getting full family benefits, and I have a problem with that. So either we have an age requirement that after age 65 or whatever, I don't know, this is something we should talk about. Once somebody leaves office, I don't think that family benefits should be paid for by the taxpayers of the town of Kent. Possibly the medical benefits, and I'm just saying possibly, for that one person, they could still carry over to age 65 if they put in their 20-something years.
But we're just, now we've moved from elected officials to all town employees.
Well, I was just.
Because realistically, with term limits, and if we went forward with expanding term limits, we're not going to have that situation with elected.
Well, you still have it with the highway superintendent and the receiver, no, not the receiver, the highway superintendent, the clerk, and you do, you know.
The tax receiver is still getting, and always will be getting, lifetime medical benefits, and it wasn't through the tax receiver, it was through when she was a court clerk.
Yeah, and then yeah, I agree. My proposal is to piggyback on Maureen's. I think Maureen's is a good idea, and just to say, if we're going to look at the system and reform it going forward, you know, 50 years from now, we shouldn't have new employees coming in with the state of healthcare now and paying out 20 grand a year or more, right? We don't know what the cost is going to be then every year until the end.
Perpetuity.
You know, because it's just an unfunded obligation. We won't know how much it's going to cost 50 years from now. We don't know what the life expectancy 50 years from now. Nobody else does it. We can secure the people, like you said, who've already put into the system, right? We're not going to short circuit anybody's benefits that have already accrued. But just like me, you were saying we don't think that people should be getting health benefits well after they're out of service, right?
Yeah.
But
And I think that the family benefits for an elected official, I've always kind of questioned the fact that if I could have gotten family benefits when I got elected 7 years ago, and I could have chosen to take family benefits, which would have meant my husband and my kid, whatever, who knows? Someone with young kids could certainly do very well with that. Or take a single medical for myself. I chose not to do either because I get it through my husband. If someone was an elected official on the town board, I would like to at least discuss a little bit further the fact that maybe we could offer medical benefits while they were in office, but not family medical benefits. And once they leave office, this doesn't mean the rest of their life. This means this, while you are in office, you will get a single slot of medical benefits if you need it. But it doesn't mean your whole family's going to get paid medical
so
benefits.
you're not, though, in favor of cutting it out for part-time?
I think that's what you're saying.
You're in favor of giving a part-time town board member a plan for themselves, rather than saying you're a part-time employee and you're not entitled to benefits. That's what I'm proposing. I'm proposing no benefits.
No benefits for
part-time.
anybody,
Right.
yeah. And
And let me tell you, I think having that as something for full-time is fine too, because I think that the difference is, and I think that when you're an elected official, you know, and especially now that at least the town board has no expectation of this being your career. You know,
Right.
and I think any elected official really has no legitimate expectation of their office being their career. It's unlike a civil service, employ well, we're all civil service, but you know what I mean, when you test out, when you take a job that you're hoping to work for 20 years and retire from, then you have a legitimate expectation that you're going to get all these other benefits like health insurance, and you're going to get it for your family. But when you're looking at a 2-year term or a 4-year term, I think that to think that that's what's going to carry your family through is bad planning.
Oh, it is bad planning. I'm not saying that it isn't. I personally have some trepidation, and it's with me personally, of taking away something that was offered to me. I could have taken
No,
advantage of it.
and we would never take it away from
No, but
people in
No, she's
office.
saying-
But for someone who is coming after me, do I have the right to take their benefit away? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I feel kind of like, if I leave office at the end, I feel that I'm taking a benefit away for someone who's coming after me.
Well, you know what, Penny, if you run for re-election,
No.
you're taking it away from yourself, and
Well,
that should
then
make you
that-
feel better.
And I could deal with that better than taking it away from somebody else.
The problem is you can never take, the problem is you can't take it away from yourself. So to say, well, I don't want to take it away from somebody else, so I can't change something that needs to be changed, because you can't take it away in term.
I think I just have to come to terms with
Okay.
this.
Well, I mean, tonight isn't the...
Yeah, I just really need to come
Okay.
to terms with this.
Bill,
Oh, boy.
it's the first time I'll let you reply.
Thank you. I want to look into this further. I want to know, I have a different take on this as far as impacting any current person who decided to go in this profession. If we do newly elected officials, but if there's people, and I don't know who gets impacted, that have decided, yes, I want to be the highway superintendent for the rest of my life. And when I decided to do this, I got rid of X, Y, and Z, and this is my income, and this is, well, this is what the benefits were. So it would have to be newly elected officials. I would ask for a grandfather clause to protect the current people, and there might not be anybody there. I don't know.
Bill, it wouldn't affect anybody in office now. It
You said
starts
it, the
with...
term.
It starts with the term in January of 2016.
I understand that.
So anyone
I'm-
starting their term in January 2016, it would apply to them.
Well, I have a
And
concern about
thereafter.
that. And that's about it. I'm looking forward to, I got this today because my mother's been in the hospital, and I will read it over. But I just want to make sure what's the impact here, and if we have a particular long-term official, is that person, this guy going to be impacted, to prohibit him, because it's going to be effect. Might be just one person, but I want to look into this further. But I agree, because I think we're going to be forced to this, ladies and gentlemen, with the tax cap, and as different expenses, healthcare costs, just for regular employees go, and I think we've got to look at the part-timers and stuff too. So yes, but I just want to make sure before I vote. I want to look into this further, but I also want to see, okay, if we adopted this, do we have someone who has been dedicated to the town of Kent and decided to do this profession, and wants to run for re-election, other than the term limit, and would it impact this particular person or persons? I think this guy might be one. But I'll, that's all I want. I think we're going to be forced to do these things. If we're going to change Kent overall, we're going to have to do things like this, and I guess I'm going to have to listen to Paul on the other side there when it comes to the tax, his plan.
I think if we want to really benefit people in the town, if we want to make our lives a little easier budget time, you got to start, you got to be willing to make the sacrifice first if you're going to ask people to sacrifice.
Yeah, any new employee that's not currently on the roster, then they know what they're getting themselves into. I would do, and I do not want to impact some of the current people now, because they took these jobs with these things. But gradually, you're going to start saving money if we initiate
And it
this.
wouldn't affect, and first of all, it wouldn't affect anybody with a permanent position. It would only affect elected officials, and so you know when you're going to run what you're facing. There's not, nothing's going to sneak up on you. And, I mean, we're asking our lowest paid clerks, if they want health insurance, to pay 20% of their health insurance. I don't understand why we wouldn't expect our higher paid elected officials who are full-time to do the same. And if that's going to stop you from running, that you have to pay a portion of your health insurance, I think maybe you shouldn't have run to begin with. I mean, that's just, I pay my health insurance.
They're going to pay part of the health insurance in your plan?
20%, yes.
Oh.
They're going
I
to pay
didn't
what
see-
everybody else pays.
Okay, I didn't see
Okay,
that.
I
I didn't
think,
read, again, I just got this.
All right, I wanted to put it on again because I'd like to, we're going to have to do a public hearing on this, so I'd like to move this before the election so that there were, no surprises. All right, so we'll talk about it again.
Yeah, that's fine.
The procedure for reappointment of members of appointed boards and committees. Paul, this was something that you had brought up at a meeting after we had confirmed. So we have a resolution that embodies
Looks
what your
good.
suggestion was.
Yeah.
Okay? I
And I
everybody-
think, all it basically does is gives us kind
us
of,
notice.
a reminder that it's time to look at the current
Right,
board
and which
members
people
and
are up, right.
who's up and send out advertisements and make decisions with plenty of time.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Did you read that resolution?
Yeah,
And you're,
sounds good to me. Seems to be what,
Exactly what you
what the board,
proposed.
yeah.
Okay, the Putnam County Real Property Tax Service Contract. This is something that we have to sign off on
we do this every
every
year?
year.
Yes, we do it every year.
Yeah. So, the resignation of a police officer. I put it on to formally accept. We got a letter from Police Officer Matthew Kraske submitting his resignation. It was actually effective March 30th of 2015. So,
Are we going to be able to recoup any of the monies that was expended on his education? Because we educated him pretty much.
And we talked about going,
This is the thing that really, I can't say the word.
we talked about going forward, negotiating it. I mean, it's a union contract item. We talked about going forward with some kind of scale with, that they have to,
Over
if they
5
leave within a
years.
certain amount of time, they'd have to reimburse the town. So that's something that I believe that the supervisor's working on with the current contract.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have to do something like that because, I mean, the taxpayer shouldn't pay for somebody's education, higher education, so that he goes over to the sheriff's department because it's a better paying job.
Because you get a better job.
It's-
I don't have any control over it.
I know, but it's very, and I know it's maddening for you.
I understand your
but it's
frustration,
maddening
but
for us,
again, I
too.
think moving forward, I believe the supervisor is trying to address it.
Thank you, Alex.
yeah. And the next item is, we had another resignation, effective last Friday, April 3rd. Our building department clerk, AJ Batra, left. We wish him well. It was, he found a job closer to home.
At this point, we don't need to talk about health insurance. We have no employees left.
Was there an exit interview?
We're saving money every
Every day.
resignation. We're saving
Every
money.
day.
It was time and money.
All right, but you did an exit interview.
We spoke to AJ.
Oh, I thought you
Yeah,
were
I
gonna
thought you were
come
coming
and
up,
resign.
yeah.
I thought you was going to resign.
And we don't have anybody to tape our meetings. Okay. Kent Cleanup Day, is Saturday, April 25th.
I don't know if you can see this.
Yes.
You can hold it up. Can you
Is it
get
on
a?
TV? I mean,
Right.
will we put it on there?
We're going to put it
We're
on
gonna
the,
put it.
we're going to put it on the TV station from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Neighborhood cleanup on Route 52, Route 311, Route 301, or your choice. Orange bags, vests can be picked up at the police department at Kent Town Center at 9 a.m. Leave orange bags, and the Kent Highway Department will pick them up. Neighborhood cleanup is encouraged. Bags will be disposed of in home garbage pickups, for those of you who have them. Help keep our town litter-free, and this is sponsored by Kent Beautification, the Lake Carmel Park District, and the Kent Police Department, specifically Sergeant Kevin Owens. So we will have these available at Town Hall if
Okay.
anybody wants to pick
All
them up.
right, I got to, Penny, I think, is going to help me out here. I tried to get this, to discuss this earlier, to give some time, and I know Sue Coatzer's in the audience, and I won't pick on Sue, but I mentioned earlier, I want to try and energize Kent as far as cleanup day. I mean, if the Conservation Committee